This is a true story on the life of Ronald Read. When Ronald Read died in June 2015, his family did not know what to expect. He was 92 years old. He had spent most of his working life as a janitor at a JCPenney department store in Rattleboro, Vermont. Before that, he pumped gas at a service station for 25 years. He drove a used Toyota Yaris. He wore a coat held together with a safety pin. He collected firewood from roadsides to heat his home. He cut his own hair. When his estate was settled, his lawyers contacted the Brattleboro Memorial Hospital and the Brooks Memorial Library. Ronald Read had left them a combined $6 million. His total estate was worth $8 million. The janitor from Vermont, the man who had never earned more than $11 an hour, had quietly built one of the most remarkable investment portfolios in American history. Not by getting lucky, not by inheriting money, not by timing the market, by doing something so simple that most investors dismiss it before they even try it. He bought good businesses, and he never sold them. Here is what Ronald Read actually owned. His portfolio contained nearly 1,500 individual stocks at the time of his death. Procter & Gamble, J.P. Morgan Chase, Johnson & Johnson, Wells Fargo, J.M. Smucker, companies that made soap, managed money, produced medicine, filled prescriptions, and sold jam, businesses that had existed for decades and would exist for decades more, businesses that serve real customers who paid real bills, regardless of what the stock market was doing on any given Tuesday. He did not own technology stocks. He did not trade options. He never touched leverage. He did not subscribe to a single investing newsletter. He did not have a Bloomberg terminal. He did not watch financial news. He read the Wall Street Journal every morning at his local diner. He used a safety pin to hold the newspaper together so it would not blow away in the wind. And he made his investment decisions based on one question. Is this a business that will still be here in 20 years? If the answer was yes, he bought it. If the answer was maybe, he waited. If the answer was no, he passed entirely. That was the entire framework. Here is what compound interest looks like over 60 years. Ronald Read began investing seriously in the 1950s. He was in his 30s. He was earning almost nothing. But he saved a portion of every paycheck, not a large portion, whatever he could spare, after feeding himself and heating his house. Think of it like rolling a snowball down a very long hill. When the snowball starts at the top, it is tiny. The first few feet it barely grows. The first few years of compounding look almost exactly the same as not investing at all. But the hill is long, and the snowball keeps rolling. By the time Ronald Read was in his 70s, the snowball was large enough that the annual dividends alone were generating more income than his entire working salary ever had. He was not spending those dividends. He was reinvesting them, buying more shares of the same businesses. The snowball got bigger. The hill kept going. From 1950 to 2015, 65 years of compounding, the market returned an average of approximately 10% per year. 10% does not sound like much. 10% on $10,000 is $1,000. But 10% on $1 million is $100,000. And 10% on $8 million is $800,000 per year. The number that changes is not the rate. The number that changes is the base. And the base only grows if you never stop the compounding by selling. Ronald Read never sold. Not when the market crashed in 1987. Not after the dot-com collapse in 2000. Not during the financial crisis of 2008. Every time the market fell, he kept his shares and kept collecting dividends. Some of the businesses he owned for over 40 years without selling a single share. Here is the question. Nobody asks about Ronald Read. Everyone focuses on what he owned. The blue chips. The household names. The boring businesses. Nobody asks why he was able to hold them for 40 years without selling. The answer is not discipline. The answer is not willpower. The answer is that he never owned anything he did not understand. He never bought a business he could not explain in one sentence. He never chased a story. He never followed a hot tip. He never bought something because someone told him it was going to the moon. When you own a business, you understand. A falling share price is not a reason to panic. It is a reason to check whether the business itself has changed. If Procter & Gamble falls 20% in a market crash, but people are still buying soap, the business has not changed. Only the price has changed. A lower price on a business you understand is not a loss. It is a discount. Ronald Read understood his businesses the way a farmer understands his land. The farmer does not sell the farm because it rained too much this season. The farmer knows the land. He knows it will produce again. He holds. Most investors cannot hold through a decline because they do not actually understand what they own. They own a price. They own a story someone told them. The moment the price moves against them, the story feels wrong. Absurdity. Ronald Read owned businesses. That is why he could hold for 40 years. There are two kinds of people in investing. The people who spend their lives trying to be smarter than the market. They trade. They time. They analyze. They subscribe. Watch. They react. And after 40 years, most of them have less money than if they had done nothing. And then there is the janitor from Vermont, who read the Wall Street Journal over breakfast, bought businesses he could explain in one sentence, held them for decades, reinvested every dividend, to die with $8 million that nobody knew existed. He did not beat the market by being smarter. He beat the market by being patient, by being boring, by trusting that good businesses compound over time. Whether anyone is watching or not, you do not need a high salary to build wealth. Ronald Read proved that. You do not need a finance degree to pick good businesses. Ronald Read proved that. You do not need to be watching screens all day to outperform Wall Street. Ronald Read proved that. You need time, you need patience. You need businesses you understand well enough to hold through the storm. The boring legacy is not a strategy. It is a truth that a janitor from Vermont lived quietly for 60 years while the rest of the world was looking for something more exciting. The most powerful investment tool ever created is time. Most investors spend their whole lives trying to replace it with cleverness. Visit ProfitByFriday.com today. Subscribe free to the Friday Flash, where you will receive one stock fully evaluated through the clear framework every Friday so that you know everything about the company before you decide to invest. No noise, no hype, just the analysis that matters. We trade for cash flow, and we invest boring to build legacy. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.